In our previous lesson, we talked about the rotation and the revolution of our Earth. Today we are going to talk about the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse. So, what is a solar eclipse and how does it happen? Before I explain how a solar eclipse happens, maybe one can first talk about the relationship between the three objects which you see on the diagram on the board. Now, the moon revolves around the earth. The earth revolves around the sun. So that is how these three objects are related. The moon does not move. The sun does not move. It is the earth that revolves around the sun, while the moon revolves around the earth. So at some point in time, while the moon is revolving around the earth, it happens that it finds itself in this position where it is between the sun and the earth. So when the moon is here between the sun and the earth, or when these three objects are in a straight line, the sun shines on the moon, and then a shadow of the moon will be this side. So when the sun shines on the moon, the moon's shadow falls on earth. So there will be a shadow of the moon here. So the moon's shadow falls on earth. And people here on earth, when they try to look at the sun becomes dark because of the moon's shadow. When they try to look at the sun is almost the same size as the moon. Yet that is not true. The sun is very big. So when the shadow of the moon falls on earth, the sun becomes dark, and we call that a solar eclipse. It only happens when the sun, the moon, and the earth are in a straight line and the shadow of the moon falls on earth. So people on earth see the sun becoming dark. It only happens for a few minutes because, as I've said, the moon is moving. So once the moon is no longer in a straight line with the sun, the moon, and the earth, we see the sun again. So that is how a solar eclipse happens. So the other name for a solar eclipse is the eclipse of the sun, because it is the sun that gets blocked by the shadow of the moon. So people here on earth don't see the sun. So what about the lunar eclipse? The other name for a lunar eclipse is the eclipse of the moon. Also, it happens that these three objects are in a straight line again, but the only difference is that now the earth is in the middle, then the moon is on this side of the earth, because I said the moon is moving around the earth. So it was here. Sometimes the moon would be this side and the earth will be in the middle. So when the sun is trying to give light to the moon, there is the earth. So the shadow of the earth. So this is the earth's shadow. The earth's shadow falls on the moon. So when people here on earth look at the moon becomes dark, even if it is during a full moon. When the phase of the moon is a full moon, people here try to look at the moon, but the moon becomes dark because the shadow of the earth is blocking light from the sun from reaching the moon. So the moon gets blocked by the shadow of the earth. That is why we say it is the lunar eclipse or the eclipse of the moon. So that is how a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse happens. Thank you.